What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pigskins and Pinfalls. I'm your host, Dick Burns.
I'm Bobby Boomerang. That's right. Welcome back, where we talk everything from Super Bowls to Sami Zayn woes.
And of course, we do this live on Twitch. If you guys are more than welcome to join us here on the Twitch machine, twitch.tv/The D Burns Show at my main channel. And because of the fact that we are on Twitch, VOD, you son of a bitch, I have to do this first episode. I have to do the first 30 minutes of this episode in a fucking Buc-ee's onesie. Son of a bitch. All right. Make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, follow, all that fun stuff. Chris, that's
What's
Super
up?
Bowl, man.
Yeah. I'm getting a phone call that's very important.
Are we really both gonna have to go AFK real quick?
I think we do.
Let's do that. Quick AFK.
All right.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys.
A few moments later.
Yeah, that was the missus, and today is Valentine's Day. Which I
Yeah,
forgot,
definitely answered that phone call.
Which I forgot. So
How do you forget that? I took the dog to the park this morning, and the girls at the park were all just like, "Happy Valentine's Day," and I was just like, cool. I still can barely talk. That's cool.
Well,
oh shit, it's Valentine's Day.
luckily, I had ordered her flowers last week. So
What was that, like the phone call saying, "Oh, thank you for the flowers"? Yes, the flowers.
Correct.
I totally meant to send.
correct. And the good news is she doesn't watch this, so she'll never know.
So I was actually, because you mentioned it before we were getting started, though. I had come up with Super Bowls to Sammy's Woes. I have an idea now with that, because when we first came up with the idea of doing like where we talk about everything from such and such to such and such, we can make this into a competition every week and be like, who comes up with the better one every week, and then let chat decide who's better. And just a little something to be fun with it. And just be like, we both come up with something, and then like we can start keeping a scoreboard.
Don't hate that.
Right?
Don't
And it was a
hate that.
wild idea I came up with. I was like, you know what? Why not?
Yeah. So speaking of Super Bowls,
Speaking of Super Bowls.
got to talk about that call.
Are we gonna start with that? Are we gonna start by talking about that call?
Everybody else is.
I mean, why not?
Everybody else is. So yeah, let's hear your thoughts first, and then I'll give you mine.
All right, overarching views. That was probably up until that last 2 minutes. And even still, that last 2 minutes is very iffy. I love how everyone and their mother is using the term ticky-tacky. Like,
Yeah.
like everyone is using that term. Like, it's not like one person came up with that and everyone's just like, that's the best way to answer it. We're all gonna call that.
Ran with it.
Right? Eagles be like, I pull out the shirt by accident, Mamma Mia, I'm from Philadelphia. That doesn't even make sense, Vaughn. That just sounds like a Jersey guy hating on a Philly guy. Medicare 20. Go away, spam mail. Anyways, I think other than that, though, like outside of that 2 minutes, that was probably one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a long time. Like, very close, all the way, like, each way. Both teams putting on a stellar show. Like, it really could have gone either way, and that final call was what... It sucks that the final call necessitated clock fuckery. And it's like, after such a great game, that was how it goes out, was like the... It's like the sad hand job of Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't... So, look, that call gets made in the first quarter. No one's talking about it.
Exactly.
No one's talking about it.
The fact that they let those guys play for so long.
Yeah. And also, look, I said it 2 weeks ago when we talked about the Bengals game. A football game is not won or lost on one play.
Nope.
Even if they don't make that call, Kansas City more than likely still makes the field goal, and then the Eagles still have to go and drive with like a minute 40, a minute 20 left, and they still have to make something happen. So that does not guarantee, that call did not guarantee that Philly lost. However, it did almost seal Kansas City's win. Um, Having said that, look, like, yes, it was holding. Like, I don't disagree on that. It was holding. However,
They let
I
so
don't
many
know
of
if,
those other calls go. Why?
I don't know if that ball was catchable. Juju he overthrew Juju by like 6 yards.
But it was still at least enough in the area that they could call it. And again, that's where it comes into you let those guys play for 3.5 quarters, and then you come down to the final 2 minutes, and then that play gets called. It's like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, but
It's a sour, at least a sour taste in everyone's mouth. But
I agree. But at the same time, if Philly would have showed up in the second half, it wouldn't have mattered.
oh,
Because
absolutely.
Kansas City absolutely dominated the third and fourth quarter.
They really did. That was a game of two halves entirely. The Eagles had that first half like pretty much on lock, and then the Chiefs came back at halftime and we were like, "Nope, we've got you guys figured out. Let's go."
Yep.
Like
Yep.
that's why halftime readjustments are a thing, because you figure out where the game plan's going. You start learning about their play after the first half. You figure out what's going on, and then you say, "Okay, this is what we need to do to change things up in order to win the second half." That's how the game is designed to be played, and they did it perfectly. And that's why at the end of the day,
Especially-
we still saw the two best teams in the league genuinely
Oh.
playing on that field.
Absolutely, and especially in the Super Bowl, because in the Super Bowl you have a longer halftime where you have more time than
They're not
Yeah,
focused on
well-
Rihanna,
right. They didn't which
even though she put on a damn good show.
I didn't see the halftime show.
You were working. That's different.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I work at a very popular sports bar here in South Florida. I had a packed house. It was an open bar event for our Super Bowl party. I got my ass kicked bartending for the entire game, so I had to go back and rewatch the Super Bowl yesterday. But I skipped the halftime performance, not because of anything that I heard, more because of time efficiency and trying to make sure that I could watch the game so I could talk about it for all you fine people today.
Yeah,
Nothing
like-
against Rihanna. She sounded good while I was working. Again, I couldn't
Yeah.
watch, but I didn't think she sounded bad. I didn't.
I mean, watching
notice
wise, you
anything.
didn't really miss much. It was the visuals of her on VOD saying
Smash
I'm wearing
Brothers
formal wear. Like the moving platforms, it was just her being a red dot in a sea of white dots. It was funny. I saw a video this morning on Instagram.
So that's how she got pregnant.
That's fucked. That's fucked up. No, but congratulations on the pregnancy as well for Rihanna. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
But no, like all the memes that were coming out of them saying the platforms were Smash Brothers. I shared a couple myself that had me laughing. The one I saw this morning was some guy it was a Sports Center reposted it to their Instagram, but it was a white blood cells. He was heading to heal your ass. Thank you, Katie. No, it was a red gummy bear on like a little platform being held up by string, and it was surrounded by a bunch of marshmallows. And I was just like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a pretty good show though. Like, and I have to give credit where credit is due. The Super Bowl show, and a lot of people were saying this, was who's going to come out with her. She did it all herself. Did it all herself.
If we're gonna talk about musical performances, we have to talk about the national anthem.
Chris Stapleton?
Yes.
Two things. One, I thought he did an amazing job.
Yeah. Okay. You scared me when I said that and you went Chris Stapleton. I was like, oh my god, does he have a
No,
different?
okay,
opinion on
well, no.
you?
So the funny thing about it too, like all the musical artists and everything, I'm sitting next to my stepdad at my sister's house during the Super Bowl, and the whole time he's just being, he's just being like, I don't know who any of these people are, being like stereotypical boomer, and I'm just like, you definitely know who Rihanna is. Like, you've definitely, and then like next thing you know, you've got my sister and my aunties and everything. They're sitting here like all like talking about what songs she's gonna sing and everything. And they're all like, "What songs are Rihanna's?" And the next thing you know, it just turns into like a sing along in the living room. It's like, what the hell is going on here, guys? Can y'all save it for halftime? That's one thing though. Chris Stapleton though did a great job. I thought he did amazing. The other thing I have to say, holy shit, the volume you heard when you heard Home of the Chiefs.
Again, slammed at work. I was busy, had my head down, but I heard it through the TVs.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was that was a damn near a home game for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was loud.
Those Chiefs fans just gave it their all. Like I guarantee you, they lost their voice before the game started, yelling Chiefs.
Absolutely. Katie says she just expected more out of the halftime show, which is fair. I thought it was good, but it was very safe. I thought it was very safely played. She didn't she didn't try to like do anything spectacular. But again, she's also pregnant, so she can't probably do a lot of stuff. Whole time I was thinking about how Vod says the whole time I was thinking about how I'm pretty sure the floating platform bullshit is the same way Michael Jackson fucked up his back. Not too wrong, but at the same time, she was also on a tether, and that was one of the first things I pointed out. Was like she's got to be on a tether, and then you saw like the red line that was like hooked to her back and then tied to the platform, and I was like, yeah, no, she's well secured in there, and the fact that she's pregnant, she's not doing anything else, and it's why it because at first like the first half of that performance, she's really stiff, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's like she's pregnant, she's tethered down on a moving platform, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then when she hit the ground, she's walking around, doing her thing.
Oh, not something I haven't seen a lot of sports people, sports personalities, whatever you want to say, talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Goedert.
Goedert looks.
No, he might not be at the same level or same caliber as Travis Kelce, but that man made some plays, and like I feel like he was a very underrated performer for the Philadelphia Eagles.
I was quoted during the show, during the game, as saying that if the Eagles win and Hurts doesn't get the MVP, if for some god-awful reason that Hurts doesn't get the MVP, then Dallas Goedert definitely deserves it. I would argue that on Sunday night, he was better than Travis Kelce. And that's a tall order.
I mean, every catch he made meant something.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't just get a 6-yard out on a 1st and 10. Like his catches were like that 3rd and 16 catch, and I mean, you know, his toe drag on that, and like I mean, he absolutely
he was an imposing presence on that field, 100%. And
but so was Jalen Hurts, man. That kid, he alled out.
Yes,
Jalen
he
Hurts
did.
came ready to play. He pulled a Greg Jennings and put the team on his back, though.
Katie agrees with us. Goddard looked good as shit. Said he deserved it if they won. Vaughn, I think football would be better if the ball had big metal spikes on the ends. Throw that shit like a javelin. You would, Vaughn, get out of here. The Breaking Bad popcorners ad was cringe. We're gonna get into commercials too. I think this is a very weak year for commercials. We'll get to that though.
I did not.
Yeah, you weren't paying attention. Yeah.
Commercials. I cannot discuss commercials with you guys. I do apologize for that, but again,
yeah, it's okay. You didn't miss much. A lot of the commercials were very, very weak this year. Very weak. I was not impressed. The Tubi ones were pretty good. With the rabbits sending you down the rabbit hole, and then like everyone freaking out that someone was sitting on the remotes, that they were getting changed to the Tubi channel, and everyone was just like,
I did see that commercial.
Yeah, my stepdad was sitting right next to me, and he screamed, "What are you doing? What is this?" Like, no, it's relax. It's a commercial. It's okay. It's okay. No one's. I'm holding the remote. Nothing's happening here. We'll get to commercials though.
I can so see your stepdad doing that too.
You've met him. You've met him. You know.
I can see your stepdad freaking out.
All right. I pulled my notes up. We've had my notes pulled up for a while now, and so I've started doing it as Katie, I was high as shit and so confused. That sounds about right. I started doing my notes as like just a chronological. I think it's best if we just started as like a Tuesday through Monday kind of deal. But obviously, we're gonna be doing so much talking about the Super Bowl right now that like I kind of have like it's best if we just go ahead and start there.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you want, we can. If you want, I mean, we've said our initial thoughts on the Super Bowl. If you want, we can jump back up to the top of the notes to start with Tuesday's NFL coverage, knock out all the NFL coverage on our notes, and then we can go over.
Well, I was thinking actually, like in the future, we just go do it mix. I mean, we're still a mix of football and wrestling, so we can just go down the line as
yeah,
like
because I mean, what was one of the first pictures that came out of Patrick Mahomes after he won the Super Bowl?
him with his belt.
Yep.
That was a thing too.
Yep.
I'm gonna say this now. Inevitably, we are going to have a discussion of Mahomes' statistics now, career-wise. I want to hold all those discussions off until next week, so we have something to talk about.
Okay.
I think that'll be a good discussion because that's something I want to give a lot of time to, and like evaluate where his career is going. So we won't talk about the fact that he's now in 5 years 2-time Super Bowl winner, 2-time Super Bowl MVP.
6 years.
6 years? Oh yeah, 6 years. Yeah. Anyways, all right. So moving right on, Tuesday, right after we went off the air, the news broke that the Saints had requested permission to interview Derek Carr. Now, to jump ahead in our notes,
he did them Derek Carr did the Saints a massive solid.
Yes, he did.
If he goes to New Orleans, he looked out for the cookout. My roommate is a massive Saints fan, and I hadn't seen him. You know, I hadn't seen him all weekend because I basically lived at work.
Yeah.
And last night was the first time I saw him, and we were talking about it. And he brought it to my attention. He goes, so yes, later on, jumping forward in our notes, Derek Carr informed the Raiders that he would not accept a trade to any team. So now we are all anticipating his release and then him being a free agent. And not only being a free agent, but more than likely being the top free agent.
Absolutely. I think that...
Depending on what Rodgers does.
Well, and like even with what Rodgers is doing, I would argue right now that when it comes to free agency, yes, Rodgers is as good as he is, but Rodgers is getting up there in age. So you're definitely like him and Carr, I'd say, are kind of neck and neck right now, if we're being honest.
So by him refusing a trade, he can now hit whatever team he does go to doesn't have to give up any draft capital or players. They can just go and sign him and pay him strictly for money.
Exactly. The Raiders were trying to get something out of his contract, and he said, "Screw you! You're not making money off of me anymore." Like,
Love it.
100%. I am
After
here
the way
for
they
it.
treated him and what they made him do the last 2 weeks of the season. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to help. If I was Derek Carr, I would not want to help the Raiders at all. Like, yo, like, fuck you guys. Look what y'all did to me. Like, I put out, what was it, 8 years with Vegas?
9 years, somewhere in there.
8 or 9 years with Vegas, and this is how y'all are going to do me?
Great years, too. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, he's still, like, he was always in the discussion of, like, his status as an elite quarterback. Not necessarily because of him, but in all reality, look at what he's had to work with the past couple years. He's really, like, this year was supposed to be the year, like, you get Devontae, you have everything, but you get Devontae, and then you lose Ruggs. And that's like, you were supposed to have a 1-2 combo, and now it's just, now everybody can cover Devontae. Yeah. And it kind of, like, kills it. So
Hunter Renfrow did not have the year that everybody thought he would. Everybody expected Hunter Renfrow to come back this year and just, be a Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type player.
Exactly.
And he wasn't.
And it
flat out, like, I don't have much more to say about that. Just the simple fact of the matter is Hunter Renfrow was not that guy.
Yeah. Katie says, I think it's credible how he's doing it, how fucking unheard of it is that they kicked him out of the facility for the last 2 weeks. Every other situation, you'd want your veteran quarterback there to help the rookie out. It's fucking wild. And I agree. And this is one of the things that I was saying, too. Like, last week when I made the big statement about I would love for Derek Carr to come to the Panthers so that way we can have a little bit of veteran experience. That's a lot of the reason everyone's saying Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, because it's veteran experience. And we'll get to that as well. That was also something that came out in the news this week, was that the Jets have officially, like, put the word out to speak with Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, and again, they want that because they want veteran experience. That is something that a lot of people weren't considering when everyone's talking about, like, what quarterbacks are going to go where in the draft. It's like some of these teams that need quarterbacks need some veteran experience in their quarterback rooms. And Derek Carr is a very valuable asset for that mindset.
A lot of people don't forget. Yes, Derek Carr has his own experience as a quarterback in the NFL, but he also has his brothers.
Absolutely.
And his brother got the shit beat out of him. For those of you who didn't watch football back then or weren't as big of football fans, David Carr had the raw talent. He just went to a very unfortunate situation with a team that had no offensive line, and he got hit a lot.
And that was pretty much every team he went to. And that was the other thing too, is that David Carr just ended up becoming a journeyman after a while. But the other good thing about being a journeyman,
have a Super Bowl ring.
Yep. Speaking of getting Super Bowl rings when you probably don't deserve them, participation award of the year goes to Melvin Gordon.
100%. 100%.
Participation award of the year goes to Melvin Gordon. We dogged on him all year about his fantasy stats all year.
Yeah,
how shit he did in Denver. You had him in he was part of the big three-way trade in our league. He was part of that big way trade. I gave him to Katie.
Yep.
I'm waiting for Katie to pop off in the chat, be like, "What the fuck?"
So there's a really good YouTuber out. His YouTube channel is called That's Good Sports. I highly recommend you guys go check him out. He does NFL news and he's very hilarious. He does them very funny. He's a great YouTuber. But anyway, he is a massive Broncos fan, and when Melvin Gordon had his case of fumbleitis, he was happy to see him go. And even last night, I watched his Super Bowl coverage, and he said best participation award goes to Melvin Gordon. He goes, and if Melvin Gordon has taught us anything, it's that Jalen Hurts can keep fumbling and keep fumbling and keep fumbling and keep fumbling and fumble some more and fumble one more time and then fumble another time on top of that and still win a Super Bowl trophy.
Still win a Super Bowl ring.
Right.
Katie's in the chat. Katie in the chat. She's like, I got fucked up.
Melvin Gordon posted that picture holding the Lombardi with a cigar in his mouth, and it's like,
I'm just like, bro, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve. I saw that before we started today, and I was just like,
if
bro.
I was on his team, I would walk up and snatch that trophy out of his hands, be like, don't touch
Boy, get the
this,
fuck out of here. Katie's actually in the chat right now. She says, I got fucked on that trade, but I still won the league, so it's okay. It was worth it for my managers. And I was like, man, I'm not even mad. Let's be real. She did win the league this year.
Did win the league.
Congrats
again. Congrats again on that.
Yeah. So continuing on with Tuesday, I had after we discussed last week about how I had watched Vengeance Day but had not been keeping up with NXT, I sat and I watched NXT and made a shit ton of notes.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I know you read those, and you again. When I write my notes, I try to be funny about it.
Yes, you do.
I try to be really funny about it.
You do a good job.
Yeah. So a couple things I want to talk about on NXT. We'll just go out of the way. I'm not going to go through all my notes. Clearly, there's a lot of people are green, people are not sure what they're doing.
I had a question on one of yours.
Sure.
So, reading through, you said poor Dante Chen got over simply by not being Dabba-Kato.
Yes.
Why?
So, Dabba-Kato, obviously, Babatunde, Dabba-Kato, Commander Aziz, whatever name he's going by right now, he's very green. He's not quite there. And the fact that all of a sudden, again, so he came out at Vengeance Day, attacked Apollo Crews, and now, so of course, that means he's getting a push in NXT. And they put him into a squash match with Dante Chen. And Dante Chen literally spent that entire match. It was about a 2-3 minute match, and it was all Dante Chen offense. And he was over his shit just for the simple fact he was getting the jobber treatment. He was getting the jobber treatment, and we know it. But for the simple fact that he wasn't Dabba-Kato, he was over as fuck.
Okay.
And I mean, he was bumping like crazy. I thought he was good.
Didn't understand what you meant.
Yeah. That's why I said I was like, I'm glad it was at least a 3-minute expo instead of just a 30-second squash, because there was
you got to show off a little bit.
Yeah, it was a standard little guy takes on big guy, but he's getting squashed no matter what, and he put in a shit ton of hot offense. the Nikita Alliance storyline with this injury, they're totally just redoing the whole Aleister Black storyline. And I'm not sold on it solely because we're not getting Nikki Cross in the background going, Nikki's got a secret. Although, her coming back and doing that on the main roster right now, beautiful. I don't know if you saw, I don't think you caught Raw last night, but Raw, she definitely showed shades of that last night. And beautiful. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. Did not catch it, but watched some reviews, read some reviews. I've got a couple opinions about that.
I like a lot of things that are going on NXT right now. I think that we're going a lot of different places. Dragunov coming back and attacking with Donna, so we get that rivalry back. I like that, and just having Dragunov back on our screens is great. Them positioning Carmelo Hayes to be the next champion, to be the next challenger for Braun Breaker. I said that.
We talked about it last week.
I said that. I was just like, if you're not gonna put it on Grayson Waller, Carmelo Hayes is the next man in line. Has to be.
Yep.
I don't. So here's another thing I want to talk about. One of the other things, I don't want to go all in with like every minute by minute thing that everything was going on NXT, but one of the other big things I wanted to point out, I don't think Booker T on commentary is working.
Yeah.
I don't think it's working.
I haven't been watching NXT, but whenever I catch clips and whenever I'm like, what are you?
I think it's just he's better as a pre-show commentator. He's not good on the live commentary. Like he's a bona fide classic. He's a tried and true Hall of Famer, but
two-time,
5-time WCW champ. 5-time. 5-time. That's 5. All right. No, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things. I've made a lot of comments on the things that he was saying. He commented, like, famously a couple of weeks ago, he was hating on Kofi and Woods for coming in and taking the NXT tag belts, and I get he's doing his job.
Right, he's a heel commentator.
And they were playing up the whole like, nah, he's mad that Kofi broke his record. I get that, but then to sit here and brag about Melo's rise and compare it to Kofi Mania is very like, it's very wishy-washy. It's very inconsistent. I get that you're doing the whole heel commentator role, but
pick a lane and stay in it.
Yeah. Pick a lane and stay in it. Now, that being said, and like Booker also sounds like one of those commentators that's clearly like just following along with the like with what's on the play-by-play sheet.
Yeah.
And like he's not putting enough like personality into it. He sounds too much like the corporate microphone. And that's where
we went through that for a long time.
And he has. And like he's good, he's serviceable. I just think that they could do better. And I think that they just hired Blake, can't remember his name. He's a guy that was on that's been working the indies for a while now on commentary. I think he did a couple GCW shows. I've heard him. He's really good. They have him working Level Up now. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's who comes in and takes Booker's spot. Or if they bring Wade back down when Pat's ready.
Yeah.
That too. I mean, football season's done now. Pat's got time to rest.
Well,
Ish.
Pat's going through something right now.
Yeah, Pat's going through a lot right now.
Pat's gonna end up in a courtroom.
Oh, we'll get to that too. We'll get to that. That's in the notes. The last thing I wanted to touch on with NXT before we just go ahead and move on from all of this, the segment that we get Bailey doing Ding Dong Hello, and we get the Damage Control split, or not the Damage Control split, the Toxic Attraction split. Excuse me. JC and Gigi splitting up. JC sending Gigi through the door. The door not collapsing through. Gigi getting thrown through the door and not collapsing. I'm sure you've seen the clips of it.
Yes.
That shit looked like it hurt. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That looked like it hurt. That looked like a legitimate, like, painful injury.
Yeah, it did. It
Yeah.
did. It looked like she took that pretty rough.
When Gigi comes back, I think JC James is ready to be a standout heel. I saw a lot of people complaining on like post shows and stuff about why they went ahead and broke up Toxic Attraction instead of moving them to the front and moving them up to the main roster. No, I think they have legs with this split. And honestly, if you weren't going to bring Mandy back up with them, it wasn't worth it to bring up all of Toxic Attraction together.
Well, not only that, but if the rumors are true, you're getting ready to send Ronda and Shayna after the tag belt, the main
Women's tag
roster
belts.
women's tags.
Mhm.
So why would you call up a women's tag just to feed them to Ronda and Shayna? Like, that's not going to get them over. It's not going to help the main roster audience learn who they are, and they're going to come up, they're going to get squashed, and then they're going to slide right back down the card. We've seen that time and time again with NXT call-ups. So I agree. I think it is the right call.
Mm-hmm. Katie, I see that tree for Apollo. We'll get that here in just a second. Yeah, no, I was saying this for a long time too, though, is that I've been wanting. Ronda in the main title picture has not been working. She wants to be kept strong. The best way to do it is to give us that tag run that we've been begging for with her and Shayna. Like, ever since the two of them were on the main roster, ever since Shayna's call up, I've been saying, like, after they fumbled Shayna's big Elimination Chamber, and then the whole thing with her moving up and taking on and losing at WrestleMania, which granted that was the no fans mania, so save it. I get it. It poor timing circumstance. But then you immediately go into pairing up Shayna and Nia, and then you had Shayna doing this whole thing with Lily. And that whole thing that was going on. It's just like, she seemed so lost. But it's always seemed from the very beginning, her and Ronda being two of the four horsewomen of MMA, it's like, it was always meant for them to be a tag team. And with the tag team division floundering, it's long overdue. It's a win-win in everybody's books. You keep Ronda strong, you keep Shayna strong, you make those titles worth something.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I agree. And, like, look, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Ronda's anymore. I don't think that what she's doing, like you said it, what she's doing is not working and everything. However, I think pairing her up with Shayna and just having them be absolute fucking monsters,
I think it's the best move for them.
I agree. And I mean, short of Ronda leaving, this is probably Ronda's best option.
Yeah, I agree. So that takes care of Tuesday notes. We'll get into the quick notes from Wednesday.
Not a lot happened on Wednesday.
Well, I mean, a lot did happen. There was AEW, but that was also the night I got in my car wreck, and I was clearly out of it. We sent our best wishes to Jerry Lawler coming out of surgery from that massive stroke that we were talking about last week. Yes. He is expected to make a full recovery with some speech therapy and stuff like that. Sending our best wishes out to him. Get well soon, King. Seth Rollins on Pat McAfee.
Loved it.
Absolutely loved it.
30-minute interview, yeah.
And they're pushing.
He came out. Mm-hmm. Pat had his theme music playing, and Seth was healing it up.
They're pushing. Dude, he went on the full press conference tour, promoting. They're really pushing this whole Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul thing. I'm so ready for it. Give me it. We weren't originally talking about it before the Rumble, but give me Rollins and Logan Paul at Mania.
Yeah, dude.
I think that's gonna be a heater.
The only thing that I'm still not sold on about this, and I don't know if you'll agree with. Actually, I think you will. You and I think very similar, which is why we've started this fucking podcast. I don't know if I agree with Seth being the heel and Logan being the babyface.
I agree. I can agree with that. I think, honestly, the best way to do it is just put the two of them as tweeners. Just let it be like personality versus personality. Don't put a heel face dynamic to it.
And I think that's the perfect story to tell, right? Like Logan Paul already has this super large personality away from the WWE, and Seth, ever since he's became the Monday Night Messiah and the Visionary, and even when they had him paired up with AOP a few years ago, like
my 30 minutes are up.
Even when like we had him with the AOP and everything, like ever since Seth has become a heel this time, he's had that large personality, and he's come out with the different flashy wardrobe and the drip god and all that. Like, I think that's the perfect story. Personality versus personality. Veteran versus newcomer. Company guy versus outsider. That's the story you tell.
And that's the storyline that they've been pushing with it too, with all the interviews and everything, is the fact that Seth keeps going on with this whole Logan Paul doesn't belong here, he's an outsider. Yeah, Chris is lagging a little bit. He's not that bad though. You're clearing up a little. Let me grab that treat for Doggo real quick. Hang on, let me take this damn costume off. Give me 30 seconds.
Goodest of boys. I see you, Apollo. I see.
Doggo gets a treat. He's crunching.
I love that dog.
Oh, everybody loves dog. All right, so what's up, Tech? How you doing? Also, Wednesday we got the announcement for the you heard the crunch. We get the announcement that Impact and New Japan are putting on a show, a multiverse show, as they're calling it.
I like that a lot.
I like it a lot too. Josh Alexander versus Kushida is going to be a heater. Ospreay versus Mike Bailey. Let's go. Whew.
That's going to be... give them like 20 minutes.
Give them solid 20 minutes. Give them a solid 15, 20 minutes. Ospreay and Bailey will put on a match of the year candidate for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, Tech. We are talking all football and wrestling today.
Wait, what?
Buddy of mine is in the chat. He was asking, "What are we talking about?" Oh, we're talking sports today.
Did they announce when the show is? I missed that. I saw the announcement of the show, but when?
It's gonna be sometime next month. I know it's a March show. Okay. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Also, they did announce that at their next pay-per-view, No Surrender is coming up in a few weeks. They're doing Bullet Club versus who is it? I know Kenta's coming. It's gonna be Kenta, Chris Bay, and Ace Austin versus I forget who, but it's something. It's a good looking match. Impact, New Japan. Here we go. Thursday night, March 30th is gonna be the show. Multiverse United, only the strong survive. So it's gonna be basically a combination New Japan Strong and Impact. And then, also confirmed for that show, Moose and Jeff Cobb.
Oh.
Let's go.
Go. Give me that.
Let's
hoss fight.
Right. And then that no surrender match, I'm pulling that up. I haven't seen anything. So does chat boost your metrics? I always type up a story. It actually does. Thank you. So the match that we're getting, Bullet Club. Oh, it's Bullet Club versus the Time Machine, Kushida and the Motor City Machine Guns.
I like that.
I love it. I was I know it was something big, and I was like, Time Machine. That's right, because that's the first time Time Machine's teaming together in a long time. The three of them together. Also confirmed for that show. So this is going to be next Friday, I believe. Yeah, next Friday is going to be Impact No Surrender, and we'll do a review on that more next week as well. But they've already announced Josh Alexander versus Rich Swann. Let's go. Mickey James, Masha Slamovich.
Okay.
We've got the Hex versus the Death Dolls. Number one contenders, Fatal 4-Way for the world title. Brian Myers, PCO, Rhino or Steve Macklin, I guess, is still in a play-in match, and then Heath and Eddie Edwards in a play-in match. Again, I'm not following Impact as much, but everyone says that you shouldn't sleep on Impact. I don't know. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. All right, going into Thursday notes. Again, this is where we have our note. This is where it came out.
Top note.
So, when we're talking about Pat McAfee getting sued, Brett Favre suing Shannon Sharp and Pat McAfee for defamation over the shit in Mississippi, the COVID resources.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So Pat came out and Pat was like, "Lawyers, I don't got them. I'll see you in court myself."
Yep.
And Pat brought up I mean, they wanted him to take down every video that they mentioned Brett Favre's name in. And like Pat brought up a really good point. He was like, "Yo," he goes, "if you go back and you watch any videos, we said allegedly
Every time.
Every time." Like, and I mean, at this point,
I need to make a sound bit of Michael Jackson going allegedly from South Park.
you make a sound bit of Pat saying allegedly.
Allegedly. I'll just make it the two of them going back and forth.
At this point, I think. Look, I'm not a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the judicial system like that. But at this point, I think Brett Favre is trying to take the attention off of him and put it somewhere else. I think he is, if he can be like, look what these horrible, horrible human beings are saying about me.
Mm-hmm. So I think the way it was presented on Pat's show was very telling about it. Was you did this whole, yes, you took the money and you gave it back, but you still kept the interest you made on it and the fact that people needed that money at the time. Again, that's not our business. We probably shouldn't touch any of that. I think we're just going to leave it at that. Either way, that's happening. NFL honors.
Wait. Before we get into NFL honors, if we're going to touch on that about Brett Favre, we have to also touch on something else that you and I probably shouldn't talk about, but it is NFL news. It involves an NFL player, and I think we at least need to present it. Therefore, if anybody else that hasn't gotten that information and they're getting it from us, anybody that's getting information from us first.
Is it the one that we said that we weren't going to talk about last week?
No.
Okay.
No. But it has to deal with so Brett Favre and his charity, right? It was charity?
Yeah, I believe it was a charity issue.
Russell Wilson's charity. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
So it has been found out that 24 cents of every dollar in Russell Wilson's charity is going to actual charitable causes. The other 76 cents is going to paying his employees, helping run the charity, and things like that. So, look, it's nowhere near as.
So it's your average charity.
I don't want to downplay it. It's bad, but it's not illegal. It's not illegal like what allegedly Brett Favre is being accused of.
It's how the organization is using their funds. I get that for sure.
Correct. And it's come out that like apparently there's 3 people that are employed through Russell Wilson's charity, and they all have very large salaries.
Yeah.
And the majority of their salaries is being paid from the charitable donations. And again, I don't want to touch too much on this because we are not qualified to speak on it. However, that is something that's going on right now as well. Russell Wilson is under some scrutiny because his charity apparently is only donating every 24 cents on the dollar to actually helping the people that his charity is supposed to help to.
Susan G. Komen, is that you?
So I haven't seen any follow-up. I haven't seen that Russ has made any comments about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is also something that has happened this past week.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We'll definitely have to keep our eye on that one, though. I hadn't heard anything about that. I've worked in the nonprofit space for quite a few years now, and I understand like the concept of like, yes, like when you're working at a nonprofit, your salaries are paid for by like the funding that goes into it as well as what goes into it. But that's why most people that work in nonprofits have very shit salaries.
Correct.
Because most of that money is going into the actual reasons that they're needed. So if that really is what's going on, and it's just because these 3 people want very nice salaries out of it, then fuck them. That's my only statement on that. Again,
moving on.
Allegedly, still. So yeah. Let's talk NFL honors. Before we get into the deep dive on the notes for themselves for the game, everything else that we hadn't touched yet. I have a couple notes from the NFL honors. The Jets sweeping the rookie awards. What do you think? Sauce Gardner getting defensive. Garrett Wilson getting the offensive. Garrett Wilson getting the offensive rookie of the year was actually a very big surprise to me.
I agree.
But well deserved. Well deserved, absolutely. But
Also agree. Look, Sauce, that was his award.
It was his to lose. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was his award at the midway point of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that. Yeah, Sauce. Congrats, man. Hell of a year.
Absolutely.
And yeah, but Garrett Wilson. I mean, there was a couple other routes that could have gone. I would agree. I was surprised. It is deserving. He did earn it. I agree. But yeah, I was a little shocked by Wilson winning that award.
Also, if that doesn't say, and if that confirms anything, it confirms that the Jets had the best draft last year, hands down.
Yeah.
And I would completely stand by that one.
Yeah. Yeah. They look, if you're winning 2 rookie awards, then clearly you drafted the right rookies.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Can't even argue that. That's not subjective. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
So Katie's in the chat. She puts Garrett Wilson played baller considering the rest of the team. My votes were for either OSU wide receiver. The funny thing, did you see there was a guy that put up a prop bet at the beginning of the season for all the bets on who was going to win NFL honors and all that kind of stuff? He was, if Chris Olave had won receiver opposite offensive rookie of the year, he would have turned a $3 bet into $1 million.
What a hard break, bro. Oh
right?
my God.
I saw that. It was just my God. Katie says sure she would have given it to Pacheco. And Pacheco also, especially after the Super Bowl, Pacheco definitely made a name for himself.
The only reason I don't think Pacheco deserves it is longevity, a body of work. Yes, when he played, he was lights out, but he didn't come on until the second half of the season.
Not Wilson only that, actually, I wouldn't even say that because of the fact that he was on the field for a little bit during the first half of the season, and he just wasn't good. He just didn't pick up. He just didn't really come into his own until the second half. I think he's definitely.
NFL's hard, man. It takes time, and for him to he made probably the best in season adjustments.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He picked up the game, and I feel like we watched him become a star
on live television.
Time.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Some other things for the notes. Justin Jefferson, rightly rewarded. Justin Jefferson and Nick Bosa both rightly awarded offensive player, defensive player of the year. Just absolutely. I remember talking about this during our fantasy football draft. I was still not 100% sold on Justin Jefferson going into this year, and I still drafted him because I was just you know what? If I can't have my RB1, I'm going to take my wide receiver 1. And I wasn't 100% sure. There was especially a couple moments during the season where I was just man, Justin Jefferson's starting to look like a little bit of a bust. No. Our wide receiver 1 throughout the year. He put up some insane catches. When you look at the numbers, it really was his. He was hands down the best receiver on the field this year.
Now, if we're gonna talk awards, we need to talk about my boy Micah Parsons not getting a single first place vote.
That was a little bit of a surprise, actually, because Micah Parsons also had an amazing year.
He fell off a bit in the second half. I will admit, I will not be a biased Cowboys fan. Mm-hmm. He fell off in the second half quite a bit. I agree, but not to get a single first place vote. I feel sorry for the teams that Dallas plays next year because
he's got to come out.
Let's give Micah Parsons a chip on his shoulder. That's a real good idea.
Right. Now, that being said as well, though, that was also Nick Bosa's to lose. He was absolutely shut down this year. You cannot deny the things that he did.
I agree. I agree. He deserved to win the award. I do still think that Micah should have got a couple first place votes.
Yes, but again, Nick Bosa was running away with that vote, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was just taking almost every first place vote. Plus, there was. Again, Micah got some votes. He just didn't get first place votes.
Correct.
Okay. Mahomes MVP. Obvious.
Yep.
It was inevitable. Yep. I hate to say it, but it really was inevitable. The numbers, it was him or Hurts.
This was so fun fact for you. This was the first time that the regular season MVP the regular season MVP and the runner-up MVP have played each other in the Super Bowl 4 times. Mm-hmm. This was the 4th. The previous 3 times,
The runner-up won Super Bowl MVP.
And the MVP lost the Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
And now so Mahomes.
This is the first time he's gotten both in the same season.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that stat.
I thought that was interesting.
I thought that was really interesting.
The next award would be the only NFC East quarterback to touch a trophy in Arizona yesterday, because it damn sure wasn't not yesterday, 2 days ago. It damn sure wasn't Jalen Hurts.
Hurts going out with an injury is what cost him. I could actually argue that a little bit. Him going down and giving those other weeks to Minshew was probably what cost him the MVP to Mahomes.
Possibly.
I can agree with that.
Maybe. But who knows, because if he plays those games, what if he has shit games, or you know what I mean? Like, that's...
Exactly. So, yeah.
So, Dak winning Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yeah. Dak was a great pick. Everything that he's been through, honestly, this is an award that could have came a year ago, 2 years ago. It's amazing when you see somebody get Walter Payton, the Walter Payton Award for one initiative. To see Dak get it for two is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's well deserved. I've always spoken highly of Dak. Yeah, I know you love Dak. Just how I'm pretty sure you were loving Kelly Clarkson in that Cowboys dress.
I enjoyed the dress. I thought it was a good dress.
But
sharp dress woman.
But yeah, Dak just... It was so well deserved. I've always spoken highly of Dak. I've always been a big fan of Dak. It's a well deserved award. The amount of work that he does,
what he does off the field,
is
yeah.
I think the way he called out Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman. Remind me again who your third one is. The other Cowboy to win the Walter Payton.
Oh, to win the Walter Payton.
Yeah. He called out the other three, the other three Walter Payton winners from Cowboys history. I can't remember who the third one was.
Me either. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Hang on, I'm on it.
He's Googling that. But yeah, no, he shouted out those three, and it's like, to know that my name is being held in the same vein as those three is like it means everything to him. And I have to agree, like, you're putting yourself in you're putting yourself in high company with that. Some of the more fun notes from the NFL honors while you're looking that up. Of course, them shooing in Kelly Clarkson songs was bound to happen since she was the host.
Yeah.
George Kittle should never sing again.
Ew.
I'm a huge fan of George Kittle, but he should never sing again. Cam Jordan did the smart thing and let the backup singers carry the work. And then Kirk and Kelly singing a song for Brady warmed my heart so much.
Jason Witten.
Get the hell out. What's that? Witten.
Jason Witten.
There's the third. I was like, I know it's another big name. Yeah, Jason Witten. I was like, I know it was another big name and it wasn't a quarterback. I just couldn't remember
It's
who
a teammate of his.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Friday SmackDown. I gotta be honest, I don't remember much. I was still concussed.
Yeah,
let's pull up the SmackDown review.
Pull up a review real quick.
And we'll just do like a quick touching of notes. They pushed the we got the Ronda and Shayna attacking Natty and Shotzi. So that's a thing. Hang on. Here we go. SmackDown review. Oh, we get Riddick Moss challenging for the IC. Tunes back out until football comes back. Not even mad about it. Let me see. Oh, so we started with Sami and the Sami and Paul Heyman promo.
Yep.
Which, again, Sami making this case. All the media right now is giving Sami this opportunity that they're playing it up that he could win at an Elimination Chamber. The smart money says no, obviously.
Correct.
But they are really playing this up. They are really turning Sami into a fiery, worthy name. Him coming out through the crowd, confronting Heyman, and then him doing the same thing again last night and confronting Cody. I'm here for it. he is seeming like a man deranged.
He's a man with nothing to lose.
He really is, and it's beautiful because he is acting like the man that has nothing left to lose, and he's doing it just right. Let's see. We had Hit Row, Lacey Evans. Oh, the Usos defending their titles against Ricochet and Braun, and the whole big question of is Jimmy gonna show up or is Jay gonna show up? And he walks through the crowd right at the start of the match. Comes in, a beautiful match. Honestly,
Great
so
match.
good.
Great match.
I was only halfway tuned in, but I enjoyed what I saw.
Yeah.
Jay coming in for the last second save at the end to save the titles, and then just walking back off. It's like, I don't know what's going on. So, if it's true, and they're changing the plans up about Sami somehow getting a shot at Mania, and they end up not doing Kevin and Sami versus the Usos at Mania, if they don't end up doing that, I think this is the start of Jimmy versus Jay at Mania.
Yeah.
And
it could definitely trend that direction very easily.
And honestly, I'll take it. I will absolutely take that. I think that
I wanted that match for a while.
Everybody's wanted that match for a while. Give the twins. When was the last time we saw twin brothers take on each other?
Probably the Bella twins, but they're women.
Still, that's like the only other time I can think of.
Yeah.
Quick little. This whole segment was minor, but I have to give awards again to Chelsea Green for playing this role so perfectly.
Yeah, she's doing so good.
She's doing so good with her return.
I love it.
Like this whole Karen, like everyone was like, she's doing a Karen routine. I want to see where this is going, and she is knocking it out of the fucking park. I think it's probably one of the most hilarious things on the show. Her just continuously walking up, being this entitled prick, and then just losing at all opportunities. It's perfect. We need comedic characters, especially on the women's side right now.
Yes.
I'm 100%
actually funny. It's like comedy, but it's actually good comedy.
Genuinely funny. It's just working so right. It's inevitably, again, like we said, it'll inevitably lead to a Matt Cardona return as well. I hope, and I can't wait for that to happen. It'll be good. It'll be good. I think she's doing great. The fact that they paired her up with Sonya, because Sonya's doing the whole "it wasn't fair" too. I think that was a good way to do it. We had LA Knight just appearing and saying, "Hey, I'm still here, and I'm done with that whole mess."
Yep.
And
good for him.
Good for him for just like removing himself from the situation. Also, and I hadn't even thought about this, there was like zero mention of Bray on Friday night.
Yep. Nothing.
Do you think the way that everyone turned on the Pitch Black match means that they're just like giving up on that?
No.
No?
Not yet. Not yet.
I'd hope not.
I think that they're gonna keep riding this train until at least Mania, see what happens there, and then make a decision at that point.
I think they're definitely taking it off of TV for a little while until they figure out what the hell's going on. And then we get that 4-way to determine the number one contender for the Intercontinental.
Another great match.
Another great match. Madcap Moss. It obviously makes it to where
he's getting fed to Gunther.
Obviously. But it's a shame. But good for him for getting a spotlight for a little bit. I think he's still underrated. I think he needs to figure his character out more. But yeah. He's getting there. He's getting there. Saturday, we had the New Japan event. Not a lot of notes I had from that. But the big one that everyone was focusing on is Jay White losing to Hikuleo in that loser leaves Japan match. And this is getting the wheels turning for Jay White to come stateside.
Yep.
Do you want him in AEW or at WWE? Just right off the back. Like, that's the only thing we really need to discuss on it. Where do you think he fits better?
I think he fits better in AEW.
I disagree. I think he is WWE ready. I think he needs to be not even just don't send him to NXT, send him straight to the main roster. I saw one of the things that I've been seeing flying around online. I think Sean Ross Sapp was the one that booked it. Was they're doing this whole Cena versus Theory tease. Let Theory take the U.S. title into Mania. Let Cena take the title from him, as in a whole you're not ready, and now we're going to go back to the U.S. Open Challenge. And then Monday night,
Switchblade come out?
Switchblade comes out and takes the U.S. title from Cena in the Open Challenge.
I actually really like that.
I really like that idea. And
I also think you could do it. You could do it without having Theory. You could have Theory retain against Cena and be like, since I beat one of the best U.S. champions of all time, I'm gonna do an open challenge, and then have Jay White come out.
And let's not discount Jay White's work with the IWGP U.S. title. So, 100%, let's go.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Speaking of AEW or WWE, it's not in the notes here, so I want to touch on it real quick. Did you see the tweet that Dax put out and then deleted?
Did. And
With
then
a little ominous
reposted without
logo.
that little logo out. It's teasing it more and more. I think we keep talking about it. We keep getting to it, and I think it's inevitable that the Revival are coming back. I think that bridges aren't necessarily burned with Tony Khan, but the way that FTR has been booked in AEW as of late, and the fact that that division is just getting a little bit too packed, I think it's time for them to go back to WWE and actually get treated properly. Since now that Trips is in charge, Trips will treat them right. They're Triple H guys.
Yeah.
They are very much Triple H guys, and Triple H will treat them properly. And especially now that we're coming on the tail end of this whole Usos thing, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Revival come back and then become the next dominant tag team in the WWE.
Yeah. Have them take the belts off the Usos if you're not going to have Sami and Kevin do it.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can totally agree with that, especially after going through the whole week.
Great way to re-debut.
We've been around the world taking titles everywhere. Let's show you guys that we're more than just shaving backs.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be perfect. It would be so beautiful because of that whole Usi hot shit.
Exactly.
Right before,
That's exactly where I was going with that, yeah. Let me pull up. So we have also on Saturday the Hall of Fame class inducted for the NFL. Some great first ballot Hall of Famers we got this year. Some absolute great ones. Very much well deserved for the 5 that we got. Joe Thomas, Darrell Revis, Rondé Barber, Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware. Beautiful class.
Zach Thomas getting in his 10th year too, man.
Who?
Zach Thomas getting in his 10th year.
Yeah. And I think that's the only reason that that Devin Hester got snubbed.
Probably.
Because they wanted to go ahead and give Zach Thomas his due.
Probably.
But
I think Devin Hester gets there eventually.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
best kick returner, the best kick punt returner. He's probably arguably the best special teams player in the history of the NFL now.
Yeah,
arguably, and well deserved. Shouts out, of course, to Don Coryell, Chuck Halley, Joe Klecko, Ken Riley, our senior representatives, and the coach of the year, the coach representative this year. But yeah, Rondé Barber getting in finally. Revis being a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas being a first ballot. D-Ware also.
D-Ware's so deserving.
You cannot argue against those names at all.
Nope, not at all.
Devin Hester will definitely get in the future, but he got snubbed this year.
Yeah.
But again, that's no different than all the times that we said Rondé got snubbed.
Yeah.
Zach Thomas got snubbed. It happens. And then the only other notes I have from Saturday, Now, I put this in the Discord. I thought this was... Oh, damn, I can't pull it up separately. Shit. Oh, wait, I can pull it up on my phone. Duh. I posted... Lids posted the chart of the most selling jerseys by state. And I just thought this was interesting. We probably could have left this as, like, the closer segment for today. But fuck it, we're here already. It's in the notes. Let me pull this up. Top selling NFL player jerseys by state. Go lay down. Some interesting ones for me. The Carolinas had Dak.
Yeah.
Which made me laugh. We had... Virginia was Lamar. North Dakota was Adam Thielen. Strangely enough.
Doesn't surprise me too much.
That one's a little bit of a surprise. I mean, I get that it's... When you consider Justin Jefferson was the most selling for Minnesota, why was Adam Thielen the most for... There. Katie just said J.J. Watt refusing to sign retirement papers now, so he doesn't have to be in the same Hall of Fame class as Tommy Boy. Did you see that was another thing too? Did you see the tweet that he put out where it was like when Tom Brady was like he filed the official statement saying that he's retired, his official statement to retire, and JJ was like, I didn't know I had to do paperwork, but I'm definitely still retired.
He's like, I'm not doing that, but I am retired.
Yeah. Let's see. What are some other notable ones here? Utah was Mahomes. That's not that surprising. Nebraska was Dak.
Alaska being Dak.
Alaska being Dak was also a surprise. Oregon being Justin Herbert.
He went to play. He played college.
Did he play at Oregon?
Yeah.
Oh. Katie, to answer your question, Ohio was Chubb. Let's see.
Not Bradley.
Yeah. Delaware was Jalen Hurts. That's not a surprise. A lot of cities that didn't have data. Connecticut had Dak.
Surprising to me was Brady winning Florida.
No. That's not a surprise at all.
Well, I live in South Florida, so I guess I would see more Miami than Tampa. I guess,
the rest of you got to think. Plus, then you have all the Brady bandwagoners and everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Surprising was Rhode Island still taking Brady. And Maine. I don't know. It came across my feed. I thought it was hilarious. I wanted to touch on it. Hawaii also had Kittle.
Nice. He fits that. Kittle gives off Hawaii vibes.
Oh, totally. And then for Washington State was DK Metcalf instead of any other Seattle player. I can see that.
Yeah.
Also, West Virginia and Pennsylvania both had TJ Watt as theirs. I'm shocked that TJ Watt outsold Jalen Hurts. That's a surprise.
Yeah. Especially with how good Philly was and how bad Pittsburgh was. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Katie, you said that you're surprised that Ohio wasn't Joe Burrow. I'm not entirely surprised by that, especially when you consider that Joe Burrow took Kentucky. You underestimate how many Steelers fans there are in those areas. That's true. Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah. The Steelers side of the state is very much more popular than the Eagles side of the state.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts took Delaware, so it makes sense as well.
Who took Jersey?
Jersey took was Saquon.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of the other ones made sense. Those are just the funny ones. Oh, and then Georgia had Kyle Pitts. Who else are you gonna buy a Falcons jersey from this year?
I mean,
and then he put out the shit year that he did. All right, so that was a fun thing. It passed my feed. I wanted to talk about it just because it was like, why not? All right, so then we get into Sunday's news.
Whatever we want.
What's that?
That it's our show. We can talk about whatever we want.
Oh, that gets the point. So the rest of our notes from the Super Bowl is what I have now. Let's talk about some things that we didn't talk about yet. We mentioned how Isaiah Pacheco had such a great year. Sky Moore also getting yards. Jerick McKinnon obviously getting yards. Ironically enough, that means that the inactive running back that was chosen, the player that was chosen to be inactive for the running back side, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah. Yeah.
We-
Is his time done?
I
He's
think
done
so.
in KC?
I think so. I think also, like, he just... I don't know. Yeah, Katie agrees. CEH gets traded this year. I think there's just so... It says something that CEH was a stalwart in that Super Bowl game. What was it, 2 years ago? And... Three? And now he's nothing for that team.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it was 2, because it was the COVID year. It was the COVID year.
Yeah, so it was the year before COVID.
Was it the year before COVID, or was it...
We had the Super Bowl, and then we got COVID a month later, or a month later.
I thought he was the one that blew up during the COVID year because he was the one that played during the COVID year.
Trust me, I will tell you why I know I'm right when we go off air. This is not something I want to put on air.
That's fair. All right. It probably had something to do with like when we were working where and whatnot. Yeah, so that makes sense. Anyways, Chiefs have a history of rookies going off and then playing like shit after. Also true. Very good point, Katie. But yeah, no, I think CH gets traded just because like if that man was a stalwart for that team when they needed him, and now he is a
obsolete.
Great word for it. I wrote this in the notes the way I wrote it, just because it came to me and it was kind of fucked up, but it's hilarious. After this week, we no longer have to hear about Andy Reid's history with both teams, 2 brothers starting the Super Bowl against each other, and then for the racists in the room, 2 brothers starting in the Super Bowl against each other. Because that was another big thing, too. A lot of dog whistles went off on that one. Just like, first quarterback with 2 black quarterbacks. Yeah. It's like, man, shut up. They earned it.
Yeah.
But after this week, we no longer have to hear about that. And let's also not forget that this officially puts an end to us ever having to talk about Brady on a field.
It's a good day.
It's a good day.
Good day, boys.
It's a good day.
It's a good day.
Katie says they'd have to pay CEH too much. Chris Jones' contract needs to be renewed this year, and he's going to cost a lot of money. It's a really good point too.
He's worth it.
Oh yeah, Chris Jones is totally worth it.
Worth it.
The Kelsey brothers hugging during the coin toss.
Yep.
That was obvious when you consider they're both captains for the team. There's no way that they didn't see each other like across. They weren't gonna like have. Well, it's the fact that they're all the captains are dapping each other up. And it's just like, oh, brother, hug.
Yeah.
That was the first thing. And then of course Travis Kelce gets the first touchdown and does a fucking stanky leg.
Yeah.
What year is it?
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good one.
What year is it?
He's got moves, man. He can
He
dance.
does, but when was the last time the stanky leg was relevant? Stanky leg, too stanky.
Then after Travis scores, they show Jason on the sideline eating.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm chilling. It wasn't until around. Boy, got some hips, girl. Katie, stop. It was around that point that I noted that all the commercials during the first half were completely ass. The commercial, I forget what commercial it was that had Alicia Silverstone, but she's still a solid 10. When she was doing the Clueless thing, sorry, she's still a solid 10.
Yeah, love me some Alicia.
Also, I made a point that there had to have been at least 2 commercials a quarter with Serena Williams in it during the first half. I was just like, why is she in like every commercial?
She's getting her money.
She is. Make that money. It was also around that time that I realized that Greg Olsen was on commentary, so good for him.
So here's a quick little side note. I don't want to go off too much on a tangent, but you'll like this. My mom texted me and said, "Who's Greg Olsen?" And I said, "Oh, he used to play in the league. He was on the Panthers and the Bears."
Mm-hmm.
Blah, blah. And she was like, "I really like him."
I can see your mom saying that, actually.
I was like, "Okay, Mom."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had some better commercials coming out around the second half. Pete Davidson had my first audible laugh of the night. He's just like, they had like the whole like the ham and brie thing.
I missed that.
Yeah. Vaughn says it would have been really fun if they acknowledged Williams was in so many commercials. Be like, hey, it's me again, but they didn't. No, I can agree with that again. Like, why was she in so many commercials and at least they didn't play into that? But like the whole Pete Davidson just opening the fridge and there's John Hamm and Brie Larson and he's like, oh, Hamm and Brie, I'm gonna eat you guys. Like it was such a perfect Pete Davidson moment that like that role, it was definitely a role that was written for him and it worked right. And again, Pete Davidson being a star this week, or like last week when he was at when he was the judge at the Best Catch. And he's like, I don't even know why I'm here, but I'm enjoying it.
Davidson being a star this lifetime is just...
He's enjoying life. Also, all the memes that were... Pete Davidson got a laugh out of someone. Yes. Hey, believe it or not, I'm actually kind of a fan of Pete Davidson.
I'm a huge Pete Davidson fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I admit it. Also, the memes I saw going around yesterday when rumors were going around that MGK and Megan Fox broke up, and everyone's like, oh, Pete Davidson rushing into those DMs. And I'm like...
Yeah.
Damn.
Watch out for that.
Funny.
Watch out for that.
That's so funny. But so Katie mentioned the Mr. Beast cameo in the NFL women's commercial with the flag football.
Yeah. So I was busy, slammed at work, and I look up, I see Mr. Beast, and I'm like, what commercial is this? But I had to go back to working, so I'm glad you touched on it.
Yeah. I honestly, I think that was my favorite commercial. Was the NFL's commercial this year?
Huge Mr. Beast fan.
Yeah. I'm not as big of a fan. I applaud him. I recognize game for sure. His game way stronger than mine.
He's a Carolina boy.
He's South Carolina. I don't care.
Oh, he's not?
Oh, he's not?
No.
I thought he was South Carolina. I think he's just Western Carolina is what it is. Because I know he's out like towards Charlotte, so.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyways, around here was where I wrote, okay, we stand Riri. Again, fabulous halftime performance. I had no complaints. The Tubi commercials were good. And this was around the point where I had made the point that all the commercials in the second half were way better than the first half, but still wasn't much. The whole time, so I missed the game. Oh, yeah, Ryan was at work the whole time, so I missed the game and all the commercials. The Bud Light commercial triggered me. And I use that word specifically. It triggered me. Because they did the whole thing with them opening a can of Bud Light while they're sitting on the hold music. Hey, quiet. You gotta wait. They did the whole like commercial with them on the hold music waiting. And they're just like, we're gonna crack open a beer and sit on the hold music. It triggered me because it's the same hold music the VA uses. And I've had to listen to that music way too long. Oh my God, I've spent way too much time listening to that music. Waiting on calls for like, I need to speak mental health or this, that, or the other. And it's just like it legit, like, it like set something off in my brain while we were all sitting there. I was just like, I want to punch the TV. I really want to punch the TV. So, I feel bad for all of my fellow veterans that had to suffer through that commercial with me. Critical statistic, this is what I wrote during the game. The critical statistic for the game will be time of possession because the Eagles controlling this ball for so long means they entirely controlled the tempo, especially with the Chiefs playing from behind the entire time. Well, that aged terribly. Also, right after that, and again, this is where I wrote it, Goddard has been making some real game-changing catches. If Hurts isn't a lock for MVP yet, it should be Goddard.
Yep.
And again, that's where we just get into like, it was a hell of a game. Whoever directed that Popcorners ad was so bad, all the lines delivered sucked ass. Yeah, that one was very meh. Where they did Popcorners as Breaking Bad. It was very meh. I see where they were going with it, and it was very by the numbers. It was whatever. Yeah, that's all the notes I have for the Super Bowl. You got anything?
Yeah. No, I mean, again, unfortunately I wasn't able to watch it live, so I missed quite a bit, and I went back and watched a condensed version of it. I think it comes down to, it was a game of two halves. Philly won the first half, Kansas City won the second half, and Kansas City won the second half more than Philly won the first half. Ultimately, Kansas City scored more points, therefore they are our Super Bowl champions.
Katie, the PI, how are you not going to talk about the PI call? Because we spent the first 30 minutes talking about that. Well, you missed that part. We literally spent the first 30 minutes on that.
Oh, Kadarius Toney with that punt return. I did get to see that play.
That too, and I even put he has that dog in him. That was
Yeah.
the longest punt return
That's great. The longest punt return in NFL
in the
history,
Super Bowl
and it's
history.
not a touchdown.
In the Super Bowl history.
And it's not a touchdown.
No, but it was a beautiful one.
Yeah,
there was
it was.
not Ryan. That's a really good point. I don't remember a Doritos commercial. You wouldn't know.
Would not know.
Again, there were so many commercials that like were just so like I don't even remember outside the Bud Light commercial. I don't think I remember a Clyde. There was no Clydesdale commercial this year either. We didn't have Clydesdales.
Interesting.
Huh.
You know Budweiser loves them Clydesdales. They love those horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell of a game.
Hell of a game. Trying to see if there's anything else that I want to touch on. You're just talking about McKinnon smartly sliding down at the 1 yard line to keep the clock. Oh yeah, no, we talked about that. How that was pure game management.
Yep.
That was again. It sucks that's how it is.
That's putting the team above yourself.
No, absolutely. It was the absolute smartest call you could have made.
We could real quick touch on how Miles Sanders was a no-show.
Would you say that it was? That spoof Caddyshack that my parents got a kick out of. We were all screaming stop at our house. Okay, yeah. I wouldn't say it was so much that he was a no-show. I think that defense was just scouting for him.
And they just locked him down?
They had that entire run game locked down for the most part. When you compare how good the Eagles have been on the run game all year, they forced Hurts to throw. And that was a lot of what everyone was saying going into this game was this was all going to come down to the Chiefs secondary. We were saying that last week. That this game was going to come down to the Chiefs secondary, and it would have inevitably like turned into can they stop the throws? Because we knew the Kansas City front seven is still like that is all-star caliber for a reason.
Yes.
And they did a great job stopping the number one run game in the league.
Kansas City's linebacker, his last name's Bolton. Mm-hmm. He made so many plays, man. Like when I watched the condensed version,
he's the one that got the interception touchdown too, the pick six.
Yeah.
Or no, it was a fumble recovery.
Fumble.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was making plays left and right, and I think again that YouTuber I shouted out earlier, That's Good Sports. He does a really good job of highlighting all the plays that he made, and he even made a comment like, if the MVP wasn't essentially a fucking quarterback's award, it should have gone to him.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Katie brings up a good point. We also wondered if that was Pacheco, would he have stopped, or would it have been a rookie? Would he have made the rookie move and scored? If Pacheco had taken that run at the end of the game, would he have stopped at the 1 yard line?
I think so. Here's what I think. I think Andy Reid is such a good coach. He relayed that.
I think so too. I think that was probably like. Once they realized the position of where they were on the field, I think that was an Andy Reid call, relaying that to Mahomes, being like, this is what we need to do. And the entire team was like, we know the game plan, stop on the one, get the kick, seal the deal.
Yeah, I think it was talked about ahead of time. I don't think, I do, look, maybe.
I don't think it was necessarily talked about ahead of time. I think it was talked about in the moment when they realized the situation that they were in. They were just like, this is what we do.
Right, and I think it was discussed. I think that it was something that they talked about, and it was said like, hey, we need to run this clock out, kick the ball with a couple seconds left, and don't give them an opportunity.
Katie just brought up another thing that we hadn't talked about. Harrison Butker missing his first kick.
Yeah,
that was a heartbreaker. Like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, that one had me for a moment because I was shocked that he hit the crossbeam and like
that first quarter.
Yeah, it was first quarter. He missed the field goal because, and like, yeah. So it's like when you miss that first kick, especially. So one of the prop bets, and I even made this joke going into the game during pre-show. I was like, one of the prop bets that I saw online, or like one of the drinking rules sheets that I saw floating around online.
Kicker missing 5 extra points. Yeah. Trust me, I saw it.
Yeah, you saw it too.
Yeah, of course I do.
So, Katie says, like, what is he gonna do? Do you trust him to make that field goal after that? Like, that definitely, that makes so much extra tension to things because you still have the memory of what Maher did fresh on everyone's mind. What happens if Butker has that same mistake in the biggest game of his career? Well, not the biggest game of his career. Let's be real. He's had bigger. He's had bigger Super Bowls. The last Super Bowl I'd argue was bigger because this was the first one.
Yeah.
And Butker was missing kicks all season. Ooh, that's true. He wasn't a very accurate kicker this year.
Yeah, but I mean, outside of quarterback, a kicker has the second shortest memory span of a position on the field. And I think that, ultimately you got to the game, you're going to let your kicker do his job and kick that field goal. I don't think Andy Reid had any second guesses about it.
Absolutely.
I am very grateful that he missed that kick in the first quarter because your boy had 7-7 on the football squares. Yeah. So I am glad
you were set.
I'm glad he missed that kick in the first. But I'm really glad he made the kick at the end because I don't think I could have handled another Eagles Super Bowl victory.
Katie also mentioning something else in the chat that I forgot to put in my notes, but yes, I absolutely want to talk about this. The turf.
Yeah.
We forgot to touch on that. That is a really good point. So,
players have come out saying it was horrible playing conditions.
And the worst Super Bowl field that everyone has ever heard. So, here's my argument on this. So, I've got friends in Phoenix that were talking about this. They had contracted out to get not necessarily like they didn't want AstroTurf. The big argument, of course, all year has been the condition of AstroTurf, how many injuries it's causing, and all this kind of stuff. So they go out of their way to put in artificial grass for the Super Bowl. I get why they did it. Yeah. It was not properly done. And
no.
I don't think it was anything to do with the condition of the grass or like the company that did it or anything like that. Scientifically, you have to consider you put fake grass in the middle of a desert, in the middle of this stadium. The problem was that you got all wet from the cold air, caused a lot of dew to formulate on that grass. Because it's artificial, it's unexpected. You're probably using a lot of watering to keep it steady for that 2 weeks that you're putting it out there. It's not the same. It's not the same as putting in actual grass and having a properly kept field. You still artificially did that. In all reality, that game probably would have been better had it been played on AstroTurf.
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, ultimately,
you may have had a higher injury risk, but at the same time, look at how many people were injured from slipping around. Like Katie mentioned, Pacheco slipped during his celebration, his touchdown celly.
But both teams played on the same field. It's not an advantage or a disadvantage for either one.
No, true.
But I agree. If you're going to play the biggest game of the year, it should be on a field that's like pristine condition.
I get it's a matter of I get why they did it. I get that they made an attempt to do something to mitigate something else. However, this was not it, and I think this was a learning experience. Yes, it sucks that they had to play on one of the shittiest fields, but think about all the different times think about the Snow Bowl. Yeah. It's not an advantage, disadvantage, but it's like people were getting hurt, and that's fucked up. Well, I mean, it's the sport as well, though. People are gonna get hurt. It just happens.
Football. You're gonna get hurt you're gonna get hurt if you play on concrete, if you play on pillows.
Yeah. Jake Elliott hurting himself when he went for his kick. Him not having to kick again. After that probably helps, but I don't think he could have. Speaking of injuries as well, and we were all screaming about this in the living room. Mahomes going down with that ankle injury at the end of the second quarter. And it starts raising all the red flags. Is he gonna be okay? He's gonna be okay. Yep. And then, of course, you get an extended halftime, and he comes back out, and he's playing just fine. And everyone's like, here's my auntie's like, how is he back on? It's like, me and my stepdad are just like, are you kidding me? I guarantee you they shot him up with so many painkillers just to get through the next 30 minutes. Yep. After After this, it's done and over with. They don't give a fuck.
Yep. Go enjoy the offseason, Patrick. Rest up.
Yep. And it's probably why it looked like he was slumping down. That picture of him holding the title and the Lombardi, the championship belt and the Lombardi, it's probably why he was slumped down too. He's just like, I need to put all the weight off of my ankle.
Yep.
The 20. Oh, and the fact that he made that 25-yard run on that bum ankle.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't coming out of that game, like point blank. Period.
No way.
Short of a bone popping out of his skin, like Patrick Mahomes was not coming out of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Jalen Hurts in his shoulder.
Exactly. I'm pulling up last night's Raw review as well, just so I can have that at the ready. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the Super Bowl that we're forgetting.
I mean, I think we've touched on most of it. Like, I will close out with this hell of a season. Obviously you and I are massive football fans. We're sad that football's over, but we had a great year of football. A lot of interesting stuff coming out of it. A lot of interesting stuff moving forward. And for those of you Pigskin and Pinfall fans out there, just because the Super Bowl's over does not mean that this is going to turn into a strictly wrestling show. We will still be following off-season moves, draft coverage, mock drafts.
Off-season is always busy. We have had some of our best football arguments during the off-season.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we end up, you and I can always do that. We can come up with some, what if scenarios or some classic questions that you and I can run back that we've had conversations of in the past. Like, we will still very much be talking football, even though football season is technically over.
That being said, it is also still WrestleMania season, so expect the wrestling content to go up a little bit more too.
Correct. And I know all we have left is to cover Raw, but I've got to take a quick bathroom break.
All right, and we can do that.
All right.
I'll let you take it, and then I'll tell you what, I'll throw up the AFK screen, and we will go from there. And we will be back very shortly. We don't have a lot much more to cover, so stick around. This will be quick, and we will be back. And we're back. So, and I'm going to leave that cut in, too. I'm just going to be like, and we're back.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Sorry about that, but when nature calls, nature calls.
Wingardium Leviosa yourself.
Had to levitate my ass over to the bathroom real quick.
Hey, it happens. All right. So, Super Bowl's pretty much done and over with. We've made it through. We've done all the focusing on that. So now we can just sit back and talk about yesterday's news, which is all really Raw news, Raw related for the most part.
With a couple sprinkles of some other things in there that I found throughout the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I had actually heard both of those as well. And they were things I meant to add. So to start out with that, the first, did you decide to see the American Wizard version? They have guns instead of wands. Yeah, it's called Call of Duty. So we have our first.
Expelliarmus! Pop, pop, pop!
We have our first official sign that Randy Orton is coming back.
Oh, maybe not. I've been thinking about this, and I'm so excited to talk about it. But go ahead, continue your thought process.
So everyone says there's I forget the guy's name. He's on Twitter, but he's a very famous boot maker for he makes the boots for wrestlers, and he said that he was making new boots for Randy Orton. Everyone is saying that this is this is like the first sign that Randy's coming back from his injury, which would make some sense. What do you think? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that yes, it's coming back to a Randy Orton return. However, the angle that I haven't seen anyone talk about yet, and it is a possibility, how do we know that he's not getting boots made for Randy to come back and cut his goodbye promo and leave his boots in the ring?
No way. No way. He would have a pair of boots that he's already worn for that. He would have a legacy, and I use the term legacy, pun intended. He would have a legacy pair that he's used. I feel like that's more appropriate. That it just makes sense that he would use a used pair of boots for that. You wouldn't make a brand new pair of boots for that. Not unless you're gonna do a Mark Henry style fake out.
Or what if it's just like a commemorative, hey, 20 years in the biz. These are some special boots that I had made strictly for my retirement ceremony.
Also true, he didn't really specify that they were gonna be in-ring worn. He just said he was making boots for Randy Orton.
Right.
That's a
So
very good
a lot
point.
of I do think it leads us to a Randy Orton return. I
Oh,
think we get him
absolutely.
back. I
Absolutely.
think we get him back.
Thank-
I think he returns Raw after Mania.
I think that's a good call. I think it's a good shout.
I think he returns the Raw after Mania.
Or he returns SmackDown after Mania and switches brands.
Also possible. Also
Gives us
possible. I just
something.
think
Gives us something. It gives us another face after we inevitably have the bloodline split up and we have some more storylines we got to start writing. You throw Randy into the mix.
if they split at Mania, I'm still not convinced that Roman doesn't hit 1,000 days.
Wasn't I the first person to say Roman hits 1,000 days?
You were, and ever since you've said it, I've been giving it a lot of thought, and I don't disagree with you.
See, 2 years ago when I said Roman could be on a 1,000-day reign, everyone was like, "Nah, I don't think so." Now look at it. Where does 1,000 days fall? Right before SummerSlam.
Yeah. That would put him.
Or actually,
he would pass.
if I remember correctly, 1,000 days is actually going to lines up more with being right before Money in the Bank.
Maybe I'm not positive.
He's only about 100 days away.
Okay.
So
100 days from now is
because
late May?
at the Royal Rumble it was 880 something. So that puts like 120 days out. That would put 1,000 days at around the end of May, beginning of June.
May, June.
That's 1,000-day reign.
Yeah, I mean, ever since you've said it, I've given it a lot of thought, and I'm not convinced we don't split the titles. Cody wins the belt his father never could. Roman keeps his, and yeah.
Yeah, I still think it would be a great idea if they did that. If they did that as the whole, like, defend the belts on 2 different nights. That's how you get the split. I see the same arguments, though, that are starting to go around now, that Cody actually going in and changing it up and saying, "No, I want both belts," and then making it just a static Cody going for both belts, and then Cody afterwards saying, "I'm separating them." I've been seeing that going around a lot more too, because otherwise, if you only give Cody the one belt, it kind of nullifies the whole "we beat the tribal chief" thing. Like, we toppled
Yeah.
him. It nullifies that, and you
Yeah.
want that big moment. So I can see Cody still be taking that and then being the one that's like, "Let's separate these belts again the right way." I could see that being a thing.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but at the end of the day, that's going to lead into Randy getting back involved in the main title picture. And I think it's been enough time that we can start seeing Randy start going towards. Let's see Randy start making the shoot towards 16. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see Randy
Okay with
start.
it.
Randy's at 15. He's at 15 right
Yeah.
now. Let's let him get 16 too. Why not?
Yeah. I'm okay with Randy Orton tying Cena and Flair.
I'm entirely okay with that. And honestly, I'd say Randy deserves it more than Cena at this point.
Yeah.
In all reality, like
Randy's been there. Randy's been there.
the only difference is that Cena's been like the face of the company for so long because he's such a white meat baby face. But
Right.
Randy's been able to play both sides of the card.
Correct. And well, he's a good heel.
Very
He's
well.
a good face.
He plays both sides of the card, and it doesn't, like, no matter what you ask of him, like.
Yeah, and his most recent run with Riddle was some of the best Randy Orton we've gotten.
He even says it was the best he's ever done. So he's getting into his later years, and he's even hitting like the zenith of his career. So like,
Right.
let's go with that. Like I've always been a big Randy Orton fan. I've never shied away from that. Like
He's smooth in the ring. He can talk. He's got the look. Like
when he's healing it up, you love to hate him. Like he does it all right. Other piece of news that we wrote down. The other notes that we had before going into Raw. Gunther officially becoming the longest reigning IC champ of the 21st century. Well deserved.
Which is crazy.
We're over here talking about record-breaking streaks and whatnot. A lot of people are saying Gunther to break Honky Tonk Man's record. How do you feel?
What, 400? 400 something?
It's either 4s or 5s, somewhere in there. It might be the 5s.
Gunther's in like the 240s, 250s?
Can't be. If that's the case, then it's not the longest in the 21st century. Oh wait, no, IC. Never mind. Yeah, I'm thinking of US. Because the US title reign, Dean's US title reign was a year long. How long is
Gunther has had it?
247 days. Is what he's at right now.
All right, and Honky Tonk's reign?
How many days? How long? 64 weeks, which is about 400 and something days.
454.
454. There it is.
So Gunther's 200 days away?
I could see it.
So he keeps the belt till mostly the end of the rest of this year?
Wow, you are lagging. Hang on a second. Do me a favor. Turn your video off and turn it back on. All right, talk.
Hello?
Yeah, you're better now.
Okay.
It's not perfect, but you're lagging a little bit. It's okay. It's not that big a deal.
So yeah, Honky Tonks is 454, and so for Gunther to break the reign, he would have to keep the belt for the majority of this year.
Mm-hmm. Which honestly, and like we said, we've got Madcap right now as our challenger. It's very doable. It's very doable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see anybody else really in that division that's really putting up a real challenge. Like, Sheamus was his best challenge yet. If they run it back one more time at Mania, I'm not opposed.
Be a three-way: Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew.
That's another thing that people are talking about, actually. So yeah, I tuned into Raw a little bit late, but I have like the review, and I caught up on it a little bit. So we started out last night with that Becky promo, talking about. So apparently, like, the whole big thing is that they were trying to build up, and I mentioned this last week. They were trying to build up to Lita, Trish, and Becky versus Damage Control at Elimination Chamber. Apparently, Trish was unavailable this week, so that's why that whole thing is getting pushed off for a little bit. But apparently, Trish is still inbound, and she's rumored as getting a quote unquote lengthy run. So,
I like that.
I like it too. Let Trish get like a solid let her get a solid like time in. I'm here for it.
Let her. I agree. I love Trish.
If for some reason, because of course we have Trish and Lita both like fighting on Becky's side, and they're leading into Bayley like being against it. We gotta stop. Becky and Bayley is getting stale. It's very much getting stale at this point. They need to just tie that loose end up finally. But if the way this is looking, if we get a long run out of Trish, and it leads to a Trish Bayley feud, Trish Bayley at Mania, I'd watch that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd watch that in a heartbeat. Absolutely. I think that would be very entertaining. Because, so, somebody pointed out, too, Becky is the only member of the Four Horsewomen to not main event Mania. And that's... So, I think that was one of the things that they were picking at in the promo, is that it still eats at Bayley that she hasn't made a lot of those same landmarks that the other members of the Four Horsewomen have done. So
Yeah.
that definitely like it plays on her mentality. If we give her a solid like big main event match with Trish on the main stage, that immediately skyrockets her value more than it already has been. I'd argue that Bayley really has been underrated throughout her entire career so far, and a lot of it just has been the fact that she has to end up playing fourth fiddle when it comes to the four horsewomen. Like
Yeah, I agree, and that she was saddled with that hugger gimmick for so long.
that. Not to mention also, and this is one of the other things that I forget who pointed it out, but I noticed it too. Let's not forget that when the four horsewomen were originally called up from NXT, Bayley was the one of the four that stayed behind.
Yeah.
When we had the women's revolution, Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha all got called up. Bayley didn't. Bayley had to wait a solid like year and a half, but that's also because she was on her NXT women's run. And it wasn't until she lost the title to Asuka that they even still took a couple more months before they sent her over. So
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
The Cardinals are targeting Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon as their new head coach. Gannon will replace Cliff Kingsbury.
That was rumored yesterday. Is this making it official?
It's from the NFL app.
Yep. I hadn't gotten that update yet. I did get the one earlier today though that the Ravens are going with Todd Monken. Yep, I just got the notification now too. So yeah, we have Todd Monken coming into the Ravens now. Coming into the Ravens as their new OC, coming from UGA.
Yep.
Apparently he has a history. I gotta look into his history in the NFL, but apparently he's been here before. So,
Okay.
Let me see if I can Google that real quick while we're talking about it. I was gonna bring that up as like the last bit since it was like breaking news before we went on the news, but
Yeah.
it's that coaching carousel.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Because let's not forget 2 weeks ago, and right after we went off air, we'd missed out on the Sean Payton news.
Yep.
So.
Oh, he is a former OC for the Bucks and the Browns. And the Jags. Oh, he was a wide receivers coach for the Jags.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good for you. Welcome back to the big leagues. So be it.
This will be Gannon's first head coaching experience.
I'm here for it.
Been coaching in the league since 2007. He's been with 6 different teams.
He's been the offensive coordinator for that stellar Georgia team. Can't go wrong there.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Bayley needs. Bayley could. I think she earned and deserves a Mania main event. Maybe not this year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not this year.
Oh, not this year for sure.
I could see Charlotte and Rhea getting it on night 1 and Roman getting it on night 2.
Absolutely. I think that's what's inevitably going to happen. And I think that's the way that, like, I've been saying it for a while now, especially with the split to 2-night Manias. It just feels right to let the women's winner get their headliner event and the men's winner get their headline event. It just feels right.
I agree.
So I like it. I like where it's going. Let that run with it. Getting back into this, though, as for the implications from last night, this led into a triple threat match as the main event. Becky, Bayley, and Bianca. And if Becky or Bayley won, they get added as a seventh woman into the Elimination Chamber. And I was interested in this actually because let's not forget I was really big on the 7-man chamber a couple years ago when they started out with the triple threat, and then I think it's an interesting dynamic to start with a triple threat in the Elimination Chamber. Because then you don't have that starting off with the one-on-one. You've already got it as a wild card. And then when that first pod opens, it's already, like, wild. So
Mayhem.
Yeah, I liked it, but inevitably it led to a Bianca win on what was a hell of a main event. I was watching that last night, and I was half tuned out, but my God, they were on fire last night. And, like, all the other women in the chamber match came out. Also, that happened last night. We're going out of order on this review at this point. Thank you, Lord Salty. one of the things that they did as well was they did this whole 3 versus 3 of all the participant chambers in the of all the chamber participants. And instead of doing it as heel versus face, they did it as Raw versus SmackDown. And I really like that because now we're getting some actual like meaningful teams. And it ends with Asuka just murdering everyone.
Love it.
100%.
Bring in the murder.
Give me the murder clown. 100% give me the murder clown. You'll love it so much. She just comes in and she's like, everyone's just like, what? Why is she attacking her own teammates? And then she goes for the pin. And that was just like, oh, well, we're getting murder Asuka. Do you think Asuka wins the chamber?
I could see it.
I think
very
she
much
needs to.
see it.
I think at this point she should.
Oh my god. We have to do our predict. That's how we're going to end the show.
Oh, we got to do picks still. That's right.
That's how we're going to end the show.
We get to do our first picks.
Yeah.
All right. This leads into... All right, so coming out of this, we get Judgment Day versus Street Profits. Dom healing it up as always. We get a post-match beatdown on Ford. Edge and Beth come out for the save. Rhea comes out from the crowd when they say that she's not there and gives a riptide to Beth. Heats up this match, this intergender match that we're getting on Sunday or Saturday. It's whatever at this point. We get the contract signing between Brock and Bobby. This was way too by the numbers for me.
Yeah.
I think
very cut-and-paste.
The both of them, you could definitely tell from the very beginning, especially when they were reporting that they were going to have like a bunch of extras as security in between the two of them. You already knew where this entire segment was going. It was just let's just get this done and over with. Brock and Bobby were both terrible on the mic. They've never really been the best on the mic, and we all know it.
Right.
But Bobby continuously stumbling over his words. Brock just continuously going, "Get your ass in here, boy." It felt really, really bad. I think the match is still going to be great, but we
don't need to talk. We don't need Bobby and Brock to talk.
We just need the two of them to go on a full-on kaiju fight. That's all we need.
Just beat the shit out of each other. Yeah, dude. Like, you could literally just announce Lashley versus Brock, and like that's all we need.
Exactly.
You don't need any. Like, I don't even need a story attached to it.
You really don't.
Just give me two former MMA combat sports veterans in a squared circle.
Mm-hmm. Again, that's really all there is to say. The only other thing I really have to say about that is that when Brock finally runs up and demolishes all of the security and then comes at Bobby, Bobby flips it. You could tell it was like, you could tell that Bobby was not supposed to flip him all the way over.
Yeah.
And Brock landed on his head very hard. And again, it just adds to the sloppiness of this segment. This match needs to show up. Any word on a Logan Paul Ricochet match? That is not where it's going. We're definitely going. As we mentioned earlier, we're definitely still going towards Logan Paul, Seth Rollins. I would like to see Logan Paul versus Ricochet, though.
After what they did at the Rumble, I would love to see that match.
I would love to see that. That seems like a throwaway SmackDown match, though, if we're being honest.
Give him a 10-minute spot fest.
That sounds like a throwaway SmackDown match, but I'm here for it. That's more so on Ricochet just not having a direction right now. Mia Yim versus Piper Niven. We get a Piper Niven squash. I like it.
Yeah, they gotta figure out what they're doing.
But there wasn't a lot to go off of there. Again, it's just we're reestablishing Piper, and thank you for that. Also, your camera is still behind, and it's still making me laugh this entire time. Oh, I don't think it was fixing it, but...
Oh, well, I don't know what to do.
Hey, you're fine. We're just going to have to live with it. It fixed it a tiny bit, but it's just whatever. It's just the lag. We're just going to have to live with it. It's just going to look funny on the recording. That's all.
Good.
You're just going to... There's going to be... Paul and Ricochet as tag partners. No, they're still too busy doing Brock and Braun and Ricochet. I don't think they'd ever do Paul and Ricochet as a tag team. There's too much clashing. We go into Kathy Kelly backstage, with Baron Corbin getting ready to do the interview, and then Sami comes out and Sami comes out to the ring and interrupts, and that's where we get into the Cody Sami promo. That should be the only thing you need to say right there. That should let you know that this was absolute fire.
Yep.
You have Sami coming in with the impassioned, I don't know if I can do this. Cody coming in with the, you need to believe in yourself. This was promo magic where it needed to be. It hyped both matches perfectly too.
Perfectly.
And it did the job just right.
Yep.
So like at that point, I can't even really say anything else about it. It's just one of those things. The only way to really give it its justice, go out and watch it.
Go seek it out. Yeah, I agree.
Seek it out.
I agree.
Watch it. It really is like the best thing that you could do. They go back. They cut back to Corbin. Corbin's talking shit because he got cut off. He starts talking shit on Cody. Cody comes back through the curtains. Cody's like, Dustin catching a stray because he's like, I don't like Cody. I don't like his brother. I don't like his father. I don't like his dog. And Cody just comes in and just beats. And I'm just laughing because I'm like, man, what the fuck do you have to bring Goldust into this for? What the hell?
Right. He's sitting at home like.
And I took that personally. So like, Cody comes in. Cody's still in a suit and just starts beating the shit out of him, drags him out to the ring, calls for a ref, beats the shit out of Corbin in his suit. You have the crowd chanting bum-ass Corbin. All of it. Everything about it, all of it. Another note I want to point out as well.
Does this confirm, though, that they're giving up on Corbin?
Again, I think they're giving up on Corbin with JBL. I don't think it's them giving up on Corbin. Let's address that real quick before we move on any further. That's pretty much all we have to say about this, is that Cody whooped that ass. The crowd loved it because the crowd was making fun of Corbin. You sent me an article earlier this week, and it was like the WWE that Triple H is giving up on Corbin. I don't think they're giving up on Corbin. I think they're giving up on Corbin paired with JBL, and I think it's more so that they're giving up on JBL. I don't think that the JBL thing is working. I think that they used JBL as a temporary vehicle to drive Corbin further down, and that is going to lead into the bum-ass Corbin feel. And just the fact that they're leading into Corbin being himself, and like Corbin playing up the whole like he was the last person to pin Roman Reigns. Like they played into that. And I think it has legs. They just need to find where they're going with it. I don't think the pairing with JBL was working, and this was their way of getting him out of there. But at the same time, it was also to devalue that whole Happy Corbin thing. Yeah,
I agree. I agree with all of it. I wasn't a fan of when Corbin got paired with JBL. I didn't like JBL. I really didn't like his pants. But also like to piggyback off of that, this is what they need to be doing with Cody. Having him beat the shit out of people to make him look strong.
Just somebody's talking shit about him backstage, and he just comes in and just like, oh, you want to talk shit? Let me just beat the shit out of you real quick. Somebody get me a ref. Let me show you how it's done.
Right.
We get Otis and Chad Gable backstage, arguing over Otis eating a hot dog. Gable like throws it. Next thing you know, we see Maximum Male Models coming through. Mansoir's covered in mustard. They're pushing this whole thing, and then Maxine Dupree gives Otis a card. Otis. We're getting Comedy Otis back.
Love it.
Gable is great on comedy as well. The fact that they're doing the whole like Gable thinks that they're here for that they're here for him. I think this entire like blending has so many legs. I can't wait to see where they go with this. I'm excited.
Honestly, hopefully, it leads to a Gable versus Otis match.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, we've seen the two of them against each other before, but I'm not opposed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if this leads into a whole big. Honestly, I want to see this lead into an Otis Chad Gable split. I like Alpha Academy, but I think it's run its course.
I agree.
And it's better to go ahead and split them up while you have the opportunity. I think having Otis do a whole big thing with Maximum Male Models for a little bit, get your laughs out of that while you can. Again, he is not inherently designed to be a comedic character, but he does comedy so well. And again, like we were saying earlier, we need more comedy segments back.
We need good comedy.
Contrary to popular belief, the comedy is still one of the things that makes sports entertainment so great. It is the entertainment side of the things, and it keeps people tuning in because at the same time you want to see what kind of hilarious things are going to come up next. It's the art, like what I was affectionately during the pandemic calling the R-Truth effect.
Yeah.
Like
R-Truth,
you know that person is never going to sniff the world title picture, but you are still tuning in every week to see what kind of shenanigans they're up to.
See what they're doing. Yep, absolutely.
We get Bronson Reed versus Mustafa Ali. We get Ali getting squashed. I think it's.
I would like to see him get a little bit more offense.
I mean, he got a little bit. However, at the same time, this hit all the right notes. Bronson's out to be a squash machine, out to establish his dominance. Ali continues to go on this losing streak, so it continues to push this whole thing between him and Dolph. Like Ali can afford to eat this L. Bronson needs the W right now because he needs to look like a monster. I think this was short, sweet, simple, to the point. I was watching the Fightful review last night, and SRS and Denise were talking about it pretty well, and they bring up a really good point. The crowd isn't entirely sold on Bronson Reed in itself, but every time he goes up for the tsunami, the crowd pops.
Yep.
And that's, again, like what you want out of your squash matches.
Yeah, and it's a starting point.
Yeah, you want that. You want to establish your monster and show everybody why he's a monster. And it doesn't matter if they pop for him. If they're popping for the finish, you're still getting the job done. So, I mean, if it works, it works. And I'm here for it. Miz TV. Miz complaining about not being in Elimination Chamber. He calls out Seth to pick on this whole Logan Paul thing. Seth's wearing the Astro boots. The fucking Astro boots are everywhere. I can't escape them. Yeah. Again, Miz looks stupid. They push Rollins versus Logan Paul. And then they go into this whole, that's the other thing too. So they do this whole, like, because again, it's still supposed to be Miz versus Boogs. And they show backstage. Oh, also, let's not forget to mention that Theory goes to attack Rollins during all of that as well. And Rollins counters that. So it's also like, hey, Theory comes in, gives the A-Town down to Rollins. So it's pushing the Elimination Chamber this weekend. Again, I don't think there's really anything anymore left to do between Rollins and Theory. I think that's done and over with. It's just done to continue. It's just done to hype up the chamber. It's whatever. The great part about this, though, is that Miz did still eat the stomp from the Astro Boots. We cut backstage to Boogs and Elias. And we get Boogs being Boogs. And I love this. This is going to be the new Uzi. He's booging out. He's booging out, man. I love it.
Not a fan.
I love it.
Not a fan.
I think it's hilarious. I want to see Elias and Boogs as a tag team just because they got the whole guitarist thing going on. You have them as like one is the hyper guitarist and the other is the soft guitarist. I think it's the odd couple capture that'll work well. And the two of them are floundering and they need something. But of course, they take their advantage. Boogs comes in, starts doing curls with Miz, does the world's strongest slam. gets the win in just over a minute. Another thing to point out as well is that backstage, in the background of Boogs and Elias, we see MVP talking to Cedric and Shelton again. So again, teasing that whole reuniting of the Hurt Business. We get another Chelsea Green segment. You gotta love it. We get a promo from Judgment Day, and then again, that's when we get into our triple threat for the final match. Again, I love where it was going. It's all building up.
It's a building show.
They're building show. And this is something that we would never have seen a couple years ago. So I'm grateful.
I agree. Cohesive storytelling.
Okay. Well, there's only one thing left to do.
Would that be our picks for Elimination Chamber?
Our first ever picks.
Our first picks on here.
Yeah, the first picks here on the show. Like, we've been doing picks for years, but like this is the first time we're actually doing picks on the show. Let's get our let's get our card pulled up. And of course, card subject to change. Come Friday, we'll post shit on Twitter. We have to. We have to put in an extra pick or whatever for everybody after SmackDown.
There's only 4 matches announced.
5. We have 5 matches right now. The 2 Elimination Chambers, Reigns and Sami, the mixed tag, and then Bobby Brock.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Bobby Brock.
So, let's start from the bottom. Bobby Brock. The rubber match. Who do you got?
I got Bobby.
You got Bobby? I got Brock.
Yeah.
I think Brock's going to take this one. I think Bobby's going to lose it in order to facilitate getting MVP involved again, and that's what's going to sell them getting the Hurt Business back together. It's like, you need me. I think that's where this is going. Edge and Beth versus Judgment Day. Who you got?
Judgment Day.
I also have Judgment Day.
Specifically, Rhea pinning Beth.
Yep, I can see it. I think this will be Rhea pinning Beth, and it will be caused by Edge and Finn leading themselves outside of the ring and taking themselves to a brawl, and that's what's going to leave it as a one-on-one. Roman Sami. Roman. Just get that out of the way now.
Yeah.
Let's just get that out of the way now.
I'm fully prepared to get my heart broken this weekend.
Exactly. All right. Now we got to start doing some prop bets. Because we have Chamber, and we love doing our Chamber prop bets.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let me go ahead and get a chart up here. Do I have the old prop bet sheet up here? I wonder if I have our old prop bet sheet up still. Oh my god, I do.
Nice.
I have our old pick sheet. And when I open it up, it goes to when we retired the belt at the 21 Rumble. That was the last thing we made picks on.
Yep.
Okay, so let me see if I can find an Elimination Chamber in here somewhere that we can make picks off of. Probably not. Yeah, no. This only goes back as far as Mania 36. So, we don't have our usual Elimination Chamber prop bets up here.
We can do most eliminations.
Yeah. All right, let's type some of these down. Most eliminations.
Yeah.
Who starts the match?
Yep.
Bray Wyatt appears in one of the chambers and swaps places with someone. If Bray was in a place where that would work, I could totally believe that. And I think that would work. But Bray's just not in a spot where that could happen.
Oh.
Let's see. So we have most eliminations, which 2 start the match, and what's one more that we can do? First elimination.
First eliminated.
First eliminated. All right. So that'll be our 3 extra prop bets for the chamber matches. Let's start with the women's chamber. for the number one contender for Bianca's Raw Women's Championship. We have Asuka, Liv, Nikki, Raquel, Natty, and Carmella. All right. I'm going to start off and say that Nikki is our first eliminated.
Okay.
I'm
going to go with
What's that?
I'm going to go with Natalya.
All right. Not a bad pick. I think Raquel and Natty start the match.
Hang on. I agree with Natty. I think it's Natty and Nikki.
Natty and Nikki, okay. I think the most eliminations will go to Raquel.
Okay. I think most eliminations is going to go to Asuka.
And I have Asuka for the win.
And I have Asuka for the win as well.
Okay. And
Got
then
all that written down?
Oh, I'll write them back down afterwards. I mean, probably should have been better if I was writing it down as we go, but I mean, I'm gonna have to go back through this recording anyways, so I'll write them down then.
Yeah.
The men's elimination chamber for the United States Championship. We have Theory, Rollins, Gargano, Reed, Priest, and Ford.
Yep.
Who do you have as the first two?
Give me Montez and Gargano.
Ooh, okay. Give me Priest and Rollins.
Ooh, okay.
To start.
I like that.
I'm gonna go with Johnny Gargano as first eliminated.
Yeah, I am too. I am too.
Bronson Reed for most eliminations.
I'm gonna go with Seth.
I was split on the two. I was honestly split on the two. Actually, no. Bronson and Seth with 2 eliminations apiece. I'm gonna call that.
Oddly specific.
What's that?
Oddly specific.
Yes, but that's my call.
All right.
And I have Theory to retain.
I have Theory to retain. There's no way he's dropping it before Mania.
Now, do we want to add a prop bet, like a called shot, like we always do? So
Sure.
All right, to do the quick little history on everything for everybody. When we do our picks, we also like to do what we like to call the called shot. It's a bonus point of something that will happen during the show. And it is our literal like wild card bonus point. If it happens, it is our called shot and we get a bonus point.
Yep.
Ooh.
Got mine.
Go for it.
Seth hits a stomp off the top of the pod.
Ooh. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Mine is that Jay and Jimmy get involved in the Bloodline match.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, Jay and Jimmy? Okay, specifically both of them? All right.
Specifically both. And I say that because of the whole, like, there's still the big discussion about, wait a minute, the Usos aren't allowed in Canada, but apparently there's rumors going around now that they got that whole thing shifted out, so now they have a reason, if and when they need to, they can come into Canada, which also means, but that also could just be we're letting them into town for SmackDown. So, it could go either way.
Now, here's just a question for you.
Okay.
Not a called shot, not a prediction, nothing like that. We get Solo on this show.
I think, yeah. I think so. I think we get Solo. In some way, shape, or form. Because of this whole, like, they're really teasing this whole bloodline breaking up thing. I think Jimmy and Jay get involved to make it even more messy. And I think that Solo naturally will get involved as well.
That's fair.
Yeah. So that pretty much does it for us this week.
Yeah, no, you got somewhere you got to be here in about 20 minutes, so.
Yep. Oh, I don't have to be in that much of a rush, but yeah, for the most part. I got to go pick up the rental car, so yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thanks everybody for sticking around. coming and
Yeah.
contributing into the chat. This is a great chat. A lot of great interaction with everybody this week. Yes, you're getting walked here in a second. Relax.
Are you going to be doing a live stream Saturday?
Yes. For anyone that would like to join us, I will have follow the Discord link down below. You can get access to our Discord channel. We do live watch-alongs every pay-per-view. We used to do them, and we weren't really following through with it. Now that we have the podcast up and running, we're really sticking with it. Come on out. Come watch the show with us. Come talk shit. The Discord link is down below.
At work, I might miss the opening match, but I should be off right around 8 o'clock. So by the time I get home and get ready, I should be popping in. Might just be a little late.
No, that's all good. I mean, I'll be there. I'll have everything up and running. If you all want to join us for the show, watch along, you're more than welcome to. Follow us both on Twitter, at the D Burns Show, at Bobby. I always do that backwards. At Bobby Boomerang. Give us a like, give us a follow, share, comment, subscribe. All that fun stuff. That's going to do it for us. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week with all the fallout from Elimination Chamber. And we'll talk the Mahomes-Brady conversation next week as well.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Looking forward to it. All right, everybody. Have a good week. Same time, same place. See you in 7 days.
Y'all have a good one.